Is that my professor?
Ha ha! It most certainly is. Welcome.
Hello.
Hello there, fairy wife. I see you've got the camera again.
I have, and you look very different, my dear.
God bless you. And so do you, fairy wife. What fun, the 17th century today.
Yes, indeed.
We're here in a beautiful old house. You can see the fireplace behind me there.
Yes.
So we can roast an ox. What do you fancy for dinner?
Oh.
A little beef, please. So here we are in the late middle of the 17th century. I'm sitting on a nice solid oak bench to take my massive weight, and I'm dressed in the clothes of that time.
I thought you were jingling a bit.
If you can hear me jingling, can you see my?
Oh, look at yours.
Can you see my jingle jangle jingles? I'm wearing these spurs, and the spurs have got rolls here. Can you see that roll round, as we say, roll?
Yes.
And that's my pony accelerator. That's my horse accelerator.
Oh.
If I want old Dobbin to go faster, I just touch him with the spur, and he thinks, oh, and he trots along.
Yeah.
So we're living in the 17th century today, and yesterday we did a day here, and we had many people come in, dozens and dozens. I didn't count them, but there were a lot of people, all ages, because we name our history all ages to all ages. And so there was old ladies with blue rinses, who I love, because they've got loads of stories to
life
tell.
experiences is wonderful.
Yes, that's my education.
Yes.
Granny. And I'm a granddad myself now, so perhaps I shouldn't say that. But I want you to think about this, because fairy wife and I, don't we, fairy wife, we always think about all these different periods of history.
We do.
And prehistory that we cover. And so it's a learning experience for us. We're always learning different things about our ancestors. And so here today, we're in the 17th century, and I'm dressed as a man of that time. It was a mini ice age, so I've got a very thick shirt on here.
Yes, I can see.
And a heavy coat to wear if it comes over cloudy. It's a beautiful sunny day so far, but this is the sort of shirt that a man would wear, thick, heavy linen, who's got to do a lot of hard work during the day. My breeches are here, thick and interlined with a whole woolen blanket. Great big boots come right up above the knee to stop your stirrup leather pinching you. And so, you know, you're dressed for the part. You've got a hat on, because most of the heat of your body goes out through the top of your head. And the 17th century was what we now call a mini ice age. There were bitter cold, long winters and short, damp summers. So we're dressed for the part of that time. Another thing that we've thought of for many, many years is this. Can you see this?
Yes. There's a lot of ironmongery there.
There is, indeed. I'm carrying a sword here, and this is called a hand and a half sword, because the hilt here, as we call the handle or the hilt, and the pommel is big enough to use two hands to deliver a tremendous blow. So if I draw this out like this, you can see the blade is approximately 3 feet long. And you can see the blade there. It's called a broadsword, because it's quite broad. And if I hold it like this, you can see how a man could deliver a tremendous blow with it at any enemy or any adversary. So it's a big, heavy weapon made of wrought iron and steeled edges so that it can be very sharp. Seek not to know for whom the bell tolls. It tolls for thee.
Not just yet.
On the other side here, well, it could do if I fell on you and flattened you. On the other side here, you can see it's tied in at the sheath at the moment. I've got this knife. It's called a little knife. But as you can see, as I draw it out here, the blade is a full foot long. So it's not so little.
Not so little.
Now this should be sharp enough for a man to shave, but luckily, of course, your professor doesn't need to shave. So what we've got here is the typical sort of knife, which is called the main gauche in French, the left-hand knife, which if you have to fight with your sword and knife, you hold it in your left hand. It's used to parry blows, to knock an enemy's weapon away from your instant kill zone.
Right.
So these are the things that a 17th century man had to know. Just before you go right away there, look, I've got another little knife
Another one?
here. This is called a truce, and what we've got here is a little knife that I eat my dinner with, you see.
Right.
That's my dinner knife.
Yes.
And just here beside it, I've got this little thing,
Oh.
which is what we call a vent pin. You can get thorns out of your fingers with it, you know, and
Yes.
splinters.
Yes.
But also you can prick the vent of a touch hole, if you like, of a musket,
Right.
or a pistol, a handgun
Right.
of that time, or vent a cannon, so you can you know, prime a cannon. So these are the things that a 17th century man carried. Now look, I'm heavily armed.
Yes.
And yesterday, as I said, hundreds of people came to visit. And that was some little babies with their legs dangling out of their little carriers, going jumping up and down, full of the joys of early summer. And to all those lovely old ladies, it was a complete range.
Yes.
Men, women, children, girls and boys, all sorts.
Yes.
And they loved it.
Yes.
We had a lot of fun together. Now look, I'm heavily armed, but not one of them was frightened of me.
Yeah.
I always say that I'm only dangerous, as I've told you times, if I fall over on you and flatten you. So what we want you to understand is that through all the periods of history that we cover, right back from the Paleolithic, thousands of years ago, 20,000 years ago plus, you know, humans carried weapons.
Yes.
From stone-tipped spears and arrows, through Bronze Age swords and spears and arrows, slings and arrows of outrageous history, and these were always in constant use. Skinning and gutting the animals that you'd hunted with them. All of these things were known and used by the people who lived in these islands long before it was ever called England or Great Britain as it's called nowadays. So in the 17th century, you know, we're in a period when iron and steel was used, and so these were the typical weapons that were carried by an honest and God-fearing man.
Yes.
There was no police force or service as it's nowadays called.
Yes.
But there were strict laws, and laws governed the behaviour. They were laws of God, they were the Ten Commandments, they were the laws of the land as well, and they were strictly obeyed.
Yes.
With severe punishments for any transgression. So of course there were always lawbreakers in England, but never so many as there are today in your time, because the laws were strongly and seriously upheld. So we're thinking about this a lot in these modern days when there's massive knife crime. Every police car that you see is says take knives, not lives, written across the front of the bonnet. Now look, we are students of history, serious students of history.
Yes.
I know how many stitches there are to an inch in my boots. That's what a geek I am, as it's called nowadays. We used to call us specialists in the olden days.
Yeah.
But I want you to think about something. Knives don't kill people. People kill people. If there's a knife on the dinner table, you don't pick it up and cut somebody's throat with it.
Neither does it jump up on its own.
Neither does it jump up exactly so, fairy wife, and do you a mischief. So what we're saying is, be careful as you study history, but study it seriously.
And sensibly.
Sensibly, fairly, honestly. Give your ancestors the benefit of the doubt.
Absolutely right. And what can we learn from this?
Yes, guns don't kill people, people kill people. You know, when you go hunting, there was a book in the 17th century. It was written by a man called Gervase Markham. You can look it up. It's called Hunger's Prevention, or The Whole Art of Fowling by Water and Land.
Yes.
And that means how you could fill the cooking pot with a lovely big fat duck.
Yum.
Wow. But we want you to think about this. Take time. Have a good time with history. Take care of your friends. You know, if you've got a bow and arrow, use it sensibly. If you've got a knife or a sword, even if it's a wooden sword, be careful with it. And have a great deal of fun with history. It's all about joy of study and learning.
Yes.
But remember, have fun out there and be careful. Have fun with history. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.